standing in the checkout line at Target. There's a candle in your hand. It's $22. You don't need it. You just like the way it smelled. You put it in the cart anyway. That night, you check your 401k balance before bed, like you do most nights. You do the math in your head. Retirement age minus your age. Balance divided by years left. And that familiar knot forms in your stomach, the one that whispers you're behind. Everyone else has this figured out except you. Here's the part nobody tells you. The people who retired 5, 10, sometimes 15 years earlier than their co-workers, most of them weren't making more money than you. A lot of them made less. They didn't win the lottery. They didn't inherit anything. They didn't discover some secret stock tip. But what they had was smaller, quieter, and honestly kind of boring. A set of habits, little ones, the kind you'd walk right past without noticing. Here's what I eventually figured out. The gap between working until 67 out of necessity and retiring at 55 by choice usually isn't about income at all. It's about a leak. A slow, invisible leak that most people never learn to find. I should tell you up front, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't manage anyone's money for a living, and I don't wear a suit while I say the word diversification. For most of my 20s and 30s, I was the guy who thought a budget was something other, more disciplined people used. I had a decent job. I had decent savings, technically. And I still felt like I was running on a treadmill that never slowed down. What changed things for me wasn't a windfall. It was noticing a pattern in the people who actually got out early. The neighbors, the co-workers, the guy at church who retired at 54 and nobody could quite explain how. Turns out, it wasn't mysterious at all. It was habits. Repeated so often they stopped feeling like sacrifice and started feeling like identity. So that's what we're doing today. 11 of those habits. Real, ordinary, unglamorous habits that quietly move people decades ahead of schedule. Let me introduce you to two people. We'll call them Dave and Marcus. Both are 34 years old. Both live in mid-sized American cities. Think Columbus, Ohio, or Greenville, South Carolina, not New York or San Francisco. Both earn almost identical salaries, around $68,000 a year. Both have the same 401k match available at work. 4% on paper, they're the same guy. Dave upgrades his car every 4 years because you deserve nice things. He eats out 5 nights a week because cooking after work feels impossible. He carries a balance on 2 credit cards, always meaning to pay it off next month. He contributes to his 401k, technically, just enough to avoid feeling guilty, not enough to get the full match. Marcus drives a 10-year-old Honda Civic with 140,000 miles on it. He meal preps on Sundays. He has 1 credit card, and he pays it off in full every single month without exception. He contributes enough to get his full employer match, and he automatically increases it by 1% every year. Neither of them feels dramatically different day to day. Neither of them feels like they're sacrificing in some painful, obvious way. But by 55, their lives look nothing alike, and the reason isn't the big dramatic decisions. It's the small leak Dave never noticed, and the bucket Marcus quietly sealed, one habit at a time. Let's walk through it, level by level. The fear. I don't make enough money to retire early. That's for people with 6-figure salaries. Here's the thing that removes that fear immediately. Early retirement research from Fidelity and Vanguard consistently shows that savings rate, not income, is the #1 predictor of retirement age, not salary, not job title, savings rate. Think about a bucket with a hole in the bottom. It doesn't matter how much water you pour in if it's constantly draining out. And it doesn't matter how little water you pour in if none of it is leaking. Dave's bucket has a dozen tiny holes. The $22 candle, the upgraded phone every 2 years, 5 takeout dinners a week that add up to maybe $300 a month without him ever really deciding that. Marcus's bucket doesn't have more water poured into it. It's just sealed. Habit #1. Marcus tracks every dollar once a month for 15 minutes. Not obsessively, just enough to know where the leaks are. Habit #2. Marcus automated his savings before he ever saw the money. His 401k contribution and a separate savings transfer both leave his account the day his paycheck hits. He never decides to save. It already happened. That's level 1. Removing the fear that this requires a huge income. It doesn't. It requires a sealed bucket. Now, let's talk about the habits that actually seal it. The fear. Frugal living means a miserable, deprived life. I don't want to give up everything I enjoy. This is where people get it wrong, including me for a long time. I used to think frugality meant sitting in the dark to save on electricity. That's not what this is. Habit #3. Marcus drives his car until it's paid off, then keeps driving it. The average new car payment in America is over $700 a month. Marcus doesn't have one. That's not deprivation. That's $8,400 a year going into his 401k and Roth IRA instead of into a bank's pocket. Habit number 4. Marcus cooks in batches, but still eats well. This isn't rice and beans every night. It's one big Sunday cooking session that turns into 5 decent lunches. He's not suffering. He's just not paying restaurant markup for food he could make himself. Habit number 5. Marcus waits 48 hours before any non-essential purchase over $100. Not 0 purchases, just a pause. Most of the time, the urge fades. Sometimes he still buys the thing, but now it's a decision, not a reflex. Habit number 6. Marcus keeps housing costs below 25% of his take-home pay. This one's huge, and almost nobody talks about it. They've stretched into a bigger apartment because you only live once. Marcus stayed in a smaller place 2 years longer than he technically needed to. That single decision freed up more money than almost anything else on this list. None of these habits make Marcus's life smaller. They make his future bigger. That's level 2. Frugality isn't restriction, it's redirection. The fear. Even if I save more, I don't understand where it should go. A 401k. Roth IRA? I'm honestly lost. Fair. This confuses almost everyone, so let's make it simple. Habit number 7. Marcus always captures the full employer match first. If your company matches 4% and you're only putting in 2%, you are leaving free money on the table. That match is often close to a 50% or even 100% instant return. Nothing else in investing does that. Habit number 8. Marcus splits his savings between his 401k and a Roth IRA. His 401 contributions go in before taxes, lowering his taxable income now. His Roth IRA contributions go in after taxes, but grow completely tax-free. He won't pay a dime of tax when he withdraws in retirement. They're 2 different tools, 2 different tax advantages, working together. Habit number 9. Marcus increases his contribution rate by 1% every single year, automatically. He barely notices it. His paycheck adjusts slightly, and he adapts within a week. Over 20 years, that 1% annual bump is the difference between retiring at 65 and retiring at 55. That's level 3. You don't need to be a Wall Street expert. You need the match, the right accounts, and a habit of slowly turning the dial up. Now, let's actually watch what these habits do over time. This is where it gets emotional. Let's follow the money. Marcus contributes $400 a month between his 401k and Roth IRA at a historical average of 7%, adds almost nothing yet, just $17 total, roughly $4,800. Doesn't feel like much, does it? This is the part where most people quit. Dave quit here. Marcus didn't pay 10. Marcus is now contributing $550 a month, thanks to that 1% annual increase. His total balance sits around $95,000 of that. Roughly $30,000 came directly from his contributions. The rest, nearly 2/3, came from growth, from money making money while he slept. Let that sink in. Year 20. Marcus is contributing $750 a month. His balance is approximately $340,000. Read that again, $340,000. Built by a guy earning under $70,000 a year for most of that stretch. 25. His balance crosses roughly $520,000, and he's 59 years old. Dave, meanwhile, has about $140,000 in his 401k at the same age. Not because he's a bad person, but because his contribution rate stayed near the minimum. His savings leaked out through 9 years of car payments and takeout, and he never captured the full company match for the first 6 years of his career. Same salary, same starting point, a $380,000 gap. Think about that for a moment. That gap isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's 11 small habits repeated for 2 decades, quietly compounding while nobody was watching. Here's what nobody talks about. We love to blame the economy, Wall Street, the system, and honestly, some of that frustration is fair. The Employee Benefit Research Institute has found that a huge share of American workers report feeling not at all confident they'll have enough money for a comfortable retirement. And here's the uncomfortable part. For a lot of middle-class Americans, the gap between barely getting by and retiring early isn't a $30,000 raise. It's about $300 a month, redirected instead of leaked. That's 1 car payment. That's a handful of dinners out. That's a few subscriptions nobody remembers signing up for. We'd rather believe the system is entirely rigged against us than admit the leak is sitting in our own bucket. And look, sometimes the system genuinely is stacked hard against people. Medical debt, stagnant wages, and a shaky safety net are real. This isn't about pretending those problems don't exist. But for the person watching this who still has room to redirect $200 or $300 a month, that's the uncomfortable truth. The habit is more available to you than the excuse is comfortable to So how do you actually survive this phase? The years where you're cutting a leak you've had for a decade and it feels slow and the numbers still look small. I think the honest answer is this. You stop measuring your progress daily and you start measuring it in seasons. Here's what helped people stick with it. First, automate the decision so willpower doesn't have to show up every day. Marcus never decides to save. It's already gone before he sees it. You don't need more discipline. You need fewer decisions. Second, track the leak, not just the goal. Don't stare at a $500,000 target and feel crushed. Watch the $300 a month you rerouted. That's the number that's actually in your control today. Third, give yourself one guilt-free category. Marcus still buys the occasional new pair of running shoes. Total restriction doesn't survive contact with real life. One category, kept small, keeps the whole system sustainable. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to seal one hole at a time. If you're in your 30s or early 40s, your biggest asset isn't your salary. It's time. An action step. Turn on the 1% automatic annual increase in your 401k today before you close this video. Mindset shift. You're not behind. You're early. Most people don't even start thinking about this until their late 40s. If you're in your 50s, the panic is real. And I'm not going to pretend it isn't. One action step, max out your catch-up contributions. The IRS allows people 50 and older to contribute extra to both a 401k and an IRA specifically because they know you need to close the gap. Mindset shift. 15 years is still a long runway. It's not too late. It's just later than you planned. If you're in your 60s or a late starter, one action step. Get a clear picture of your Social Security timing. Delaying your claim from 62 to 70 can increase your monthly benefit by roughly 8% for every year you wait. That's not a small detail. That's one of the biggest levers available to you. Mindset shift. Retirement isn't one finish line anymore. For a lot of late starters, it's a gradual shift. Working part-time, downsizing, easing in, not an abrupt stop. That's not failure, that's flexibility. Go back to that bucket for a second. Nobody notices a leak when it's one drop at a time. It just looks like a slightly damp floor. You could live your whole life stepping around that puddle, wondering why the bucket never fills up, never once looking down to find the hole. Marcus didn't get somewhere Dave couldn't have gone. He just looked down. He found the leak, and then, quietly, without any fanfare, he sealed it. One small habit at a time, for 20 years, while nobody was watching. That's really all this is. Not a secret. Not a shortcut. Just a decision to stop watching the water disappear and start noticing where it's going instead. Your bucket has a leak somewhere too. Maybe smaller than you think. It might just be one thing. Go find it. If this helped you see your own situation a little differently, like the video I made walking through exactly how to set up that automatic 1% increase step by step in about 5 minutes. And if you're the kind of person who likes thinking this stuff through slowly, stick around. This channel is basically just an ongoing conversation about getting from worried to on track, one habit at a time.